Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise to raise a little-known issue which has caused constant annoyance to numerous Australian businesses for years. It's now exacerbated during the COVID-19 crisis as more people are working from home remotely. And I promised a number of local businesses that I would look into this and raise it. So I quit my promise here. And every day, small businesses and sole traders receive thousands of calls from telemarketers, interrupting their working day, harming productivity and leaving them distracted and annoyed, frankly driving people nuts, as the Australian Psychological Society identified. They didn't use nuts, that was a paraphrase. But I hear this from numerous local people, local tradies, a plumber or sparky, who have to publish their mobile number to keep their business alive. You're out on the job, you're up the ladder, the phone rings, you get it, and it's the third call that day from an electricity company trying to flog you a better plan. Small local businesses like the optometrist, the corner store, the accountant, who don't have enough staff for a receptionist, so the staff waste untold hours trying to get telemarketers off the phone. And only last month, a friend who's a barrister actually told me the single greatest annoyance with the transition to working from home was his complete inability to stop telemarketing calls that were forwarded to his mobile. Now, these businesses all have better things to do than bat away unsolicited and unwarranted calls. Now, individually, this might seem like a small issue, but the overall impact adds up because unsolicited calls cost small businesses in the Australian economy a fortune in lost productivity. It's literally thousands of hours of paid employees' time spent answering unsolicited calls. Now, I believe that businesses, or at least small businesses, should be allowed to opt out of telemarketing calls via the Do Not Call register. The register was introduced in 2006 by the Howard government and was strengthened in 2009 by the Rudd government. And it allows individuals to register their phone number so that telemarketers don't and cannot call them. Each month, the marketers submit their phone list to the register, and those registered numbers are removed, preventing those unsolicited calls in a process called list washing. But unfortunately, 14 years on, the Do Not Call register still only applies to phone numbers that are used primarily for private and domestic purposes. Business and emergency service numbers are not eligible to register. But the departmental data shows still, year after year, that businesses constantly try to register. So clearly there's a demand from business for these numbers to be included on the register. Constituents who raise this with me from time to time plead for this service. They just want to get back to business. Now, this change, to my mind, is a no-brainer. Both the original legislation, interestingly, and the 2009 Rudd government amendments propose that business be able to opt into the register. Yet in the final version, after it was mucked around in the Senate, where they muck up our good work at times, it wasn't included in the final bill, and I think it's time we fix this. The numbers are big. In 2009, the Australia Institute estimated that the time wasted on unsolicited telemarketing calls was over $1.58 billion per year 11 years ago. And of course, there were also other economic costs, to be fair, including impacts on competition identified by Access Economics. So there's a cost-benefit. But in the last 10 years, I think that cost-benefit, the case to let businesses, or at least small businesses, register has only strengthened, because phone calls have decreased as a proportion of the overall direct marketing spend in favour of email, social media, internet campaigns, and we're seeing now a radical transformation to the working arrangements of small business in Australia, accelerated by the pandemic. So as more businesses turn to work-from-home arrangements, moving to mobiles and diverting phones to employees working from home, COVID-19 is making it hard enough for them to be efficient. Millions of people working at home with children, numerous distractions competing for their attention, and the last thing workers need is more unsolicited calls from telemarketing companies, mobile phones, electricity, insurance deals, you name it. Now, of course, any legislation needs to be sensibly crafted and be workable, but it is doable. Ultimately, it's a matter of political will. Now, consultants and think tanks can come up with any form of cost-benefit numbers that support or distract from the case. They'll use assumptions one way or the other. That's how these things work. But on this issue, I don't think we should be swayed by the he said of cost-benefits. The issue has remained unresolved for so long, and we should be guided by common sense. More than 2 million small businesses and sole traders should have the right to choose to opt out of annoying telemarketing calls and just let them get on with business. It's not a big thing, but it adds up across the economy, and it would mean so much to so many sole traders who have no choice but to put up with these calls every day. And so I'm calling on the government, in thinking about their future legislation, to put the issue back on the policy agenda and introduce legislation to expand the Do Not Call register. Thank you.